Journey with the Gita 1 to 18 from distress to bliss. The distressed state of Arjun, with his limbs quivering, dryness in his mouth, body hair standing on its end, reeling of his mind and body. Arjun, the mighty warrior, slumps helplessly in his chariot at the beginning of the Mahabharat war. In that helpless state, Arjun requests Sri Krishna to guide him out of the state of grief, helplessness, and inaction. The way out of distress, Sri Krishna asks Arjun to develop a proper perspective about distress and suffering. Realize joys and sorrows come and go like winter and summer. The reasons for suffering, the compelling attachment to fruits of action, sense objects, and desires, the qualities that bind people to countless desires. Understand, actions and desires emanate from the three modes of nature, produced by nature's material energy. Living beings, thou the fragments of supreme divine, the manifestations of nature's material energy, bound by the three modes of nature, deeply struggle with senses and mind. The strong impact of the three modes of nature. The modes of nature bind the imperishable soul to the perishable body. They constitute the innate nature. People are what their nature is. Tamo, the mode of ignorance, conditions living beings by delusion, laziness, and ignorance. Rajo, the mode of passion, binds living beings by the attachment to fruitive activities, produces greed, anxiety, and suffering. Sattva, the mode of goodness, binds living beings by the attachment to knowledge and happiness. The interplay of these three gunas determine food preferences, perception of knowledge, modes of happiness, performance of charities, yajnas, and austerities. The sattvic with equipoised minds perform actions without expectations. The rajasic with stressed minds and desire for rewards. The tamasic with lazy and obstinate minds, disregarding abilities and consequences. Attachment to actions, modes of nature. Realize the modes of innate nature are the agents of actions, the performers. All actions are born out of the modes of nature. The desires born out of the mode of passion impel people to act forcefully, unwillingly, and also sinfully, deluded by the play of modes of nature. The ignorant work with attachment. Attachment to desires, senses, desires born out of the mode of passion, dwell in senses, mind, and intellect, cloud the knowledge and dilutes the self, bring about attachment or aversion to sense objects. The contemplation of sense objects develop attachment that results in anger, delusion, and ruination. Despite the restraint of senses from sense objects, the taste for sense objects lingers on in the mind. The pleasures of senses that have beginning and end causes distress and suffering. Qualities, bondage, attachment, binding demonic qualities, hypocrisy, pride, arrogance, ignorance, harshness, and anger. The ones with the binding qualities act under the impulse of desires, bound by countless desires, resort to unlawful and unjust means. Individual soul, attachments. The individual soul, the lower self, the Purusha, gets attached to the modes of nature, becomes responsible for suffering and happiness. a way out of attachments, to rise above the dualities of desire and aversion, to attain freedom from the bondage of work, to overcome the maya of the modes of nature, gunas. Manage the forces of desire by studying the lower self made up of senses and mind through the higher self. To study the lower self, shut out external objects, equalize the flow of incoming and outgoing breath. Befriend mind, to make mind your friend. Eat moderately, regulate sleep, have balance in work, remain unperturbed by the flow of desires. Most importantly, engage in meditation. Practice meditation with faith. Bring wandering mind gently back while meditating. Practice dispassion. Be without egoism. Be dispassionate towards sense objects. Be an observer and a witness to birth, old age, death, disease, suffering. Be not attached to spouse, children, and home. Nurture the desirable traits: humbleness, lack of hypocrisy, steadfastness, nonviolence, forgiveness, purity, self control. Be neutral to the three gunas. Be free from attachment to possessions, neither the cause of agitation nor agitated by others. Treat equally success and failure, criticism and praise, friends and foes, the pleasant and the unpleasant. Neither rejoice nor despair. Be firm in conviction, silent and contented. Perform all actions as a non doer, karma yogi. Burn actions in the fire of knowledge. Have the right to do actions, not the cause of the result of actions. Be contented with natural gains. Have no sense of ownership. Be equipoised in success and failures. Perform actions with controlled senses and mind, actions as offering to Brahman. Offer all actions to the Supreme, from cultivation of knowledge, food intake, sleeping to breathing. Offer with faith, then actions will not be binding. Detachment leads to the state beyond suffering. Focus on the eternal Supreme Soul, the Supreme Soul Paramatma, the higher self, Purusha, the witness, transcendental to the three modes of nature, the non doer, beyond and above entanglements of actions. No, Parabrahma is transcendental to both the unmanifest and the manifest, the time, the creation, the death, the sources of senses, devoid of them. The material energy of Parabrahma manifests in the radiance of the sun and the moon, mother, father, relations, friends, the energy of living entities, memory, forgetfulness, the digestive fire, the outgoing and incoming breath. Parabrahma's opulences in nature, sages, the opulences in human traits, satisfaction, happiness, silence, truth, strength, morality, wisdom, knowledge. Worship Parabrahma by surrendering intellect, if not by practicing yoga, if not by performing devotional service, if not by surrendering fruits of action. With great devotion, do the offerings: a leaf, a fruit, a flower, water, actions, food, austerities. Perform all actions, but dedicate all activities to Parabrahma, the dweller in hearts. Think of Brahman, offer obeisances to Brahman, worship Brahman, surrender to Brahman, Be happy and delightful within. Antar Sukha and Antar Ramasa. Find the light within. Antar Jyotir. Resources.